And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, full of grace and truth. Over the next number of days, you will hear presidents and prime ministers in cathedrals all over the world, from Edinburgh to Washington, from London to Sydney, read these words as part of the Christmas Gospel, as part of the familiar Christmas story that's read at carol services this time of the year. In our churches and in our villages and in our rural communities and in our cities here in Down Under Moor, these words will be read by ordinary men and women like you and like me. They'll also be read in our schools by children at carol services, in assembly halls and in church buildings as well. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, full of grace and truth. Yes, very familiar words, but words that will also be read by worshipping communities under trees in Africa, read in sub-zero temperatures by Christians sitting alone with an open Bible in nations where it's forbidden to read the Bible, and they'll be sitting quietly in fear and yet reading this Christmas gospel story. God became a man. God took the form of a human person. God took the form of a man. God took unto himself our humanity, our weakness, our frailty, our vulnerability. God sent his own Son into the world in the likeness of sinful man. The late Dr. Helen Roosevelt, who had travelled the world as a Christian doctor, she used to put it so beautifully when she would say, he came into this mucky, old, messy world and loved us. Emmanuel, God with us. In Jesus Christ, without ceasing to be God, God was made man. Man in every way, except that unlike us, he was without sin. The Word became flesh, made his dwelling among us. He was made like you and like me in every way, except that he was sinless. The Word becoming flesh. God becoming flesh in that manger in Bethlehem. It was God in the flesh who would later walk the streets of Nazareth. God in the flesh who would later heal the blind and heal the deaf. God in the flesh who would teach by the shores of Galilee. God in the flesh who would go to the cross at Calvary and pay the price for the sins of the whole world. God in the flesh who would rise again from the grave. God in the flesh, full of grace and truth, doing this to buy back to himself a sinful, broken, lost world. And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, full of grace and truth. This year, as these words are read and as you hear them read, probably not by presidents or not by prime ministers, but nevertheless, may these words impact my life and your life in a fresh way this Christmas time. That God came into this world because he loved us. He came not only to demonstrate his love towards us, but he came to ensure that we might experience his love for us. He became one of us. This Christmas, let's own him, love him, trust him, follow him, obey him, serve him, give ourselves to him, and live our lives for him. I love the way one of the Christmas hymns puts it. Who is he in yonder stall, at whose feet the shepherds fall? 'Tis the Lord, O wondrous story. 'Tis the Lord, the King of glory. At his feet we humbly fall. Crown him Lord of all. I'm standing here in St. Patrick's Church, Ballymacarrett. And from this place today, I just, on behalf of myself and Hilary and all the diocesan staff, pray that you will know God's peace and God's presence and God's goodness and God's grace and God's truth and God's love in your home and in your life this Christmas season. May you have a blessed and may you have a really happy Christmas. God bless you.